Happy holidays, everyone. We are back here, and I think it's been a while since what's it been? A week? It's been a week? Over a week since we've
What?
done a podcast. Oh, now and then you muted yourself. See what happens? Brian and I just had this discussion before we went live about his setup, and I don't know, he muted himself. Something's going on here. We're gonna have to restart this podcast. There you
Yep.
go. Oh,
I said, do you want to know what it's been since the last time we recorded?
wasn't it last Tuesday, or was it last Monday? He muted himself again. Oh man, rough start to this podcast. Just almost as bad as the Warriors road trip, man.
Okay, let's see how this goes.
Nope, muted yourself again. What a start here. What a start. Maybe we jumped the gun. Maybe we should have tested out our audio and our headsets and stuff before we started recording here.
This is
Nope, it's gonna go back. What do we do while you work out your technology here? I don't have any preamp. You know what? Here's what we'll do. So Brian is working on his tech here. He's trying to figure out how he gets his audio back. He can hear me properly. His mic just keeps cutting out and muting on him. Okay, here's what we'll do. So I wanted to lead with this anyways, which is again, happy holidays to everybody. And we'll be giving out some gifts to the Warriors. Some, not literal gifts, but our wishes to the Warriors for this Christmas. So one thing I wanted to get out of the way before we started this show is our YouTube channel is growing. And if you are a podcast listener, so if you are listening on the audio side through the BSPN network, completely great. Love having you listen. But if you also are on YouTube, subscribe to the channel because, it's kind of hard to grow a YouTube channel, but we are doing some pretty nice views on clips of our shows comparable to bigger channels. So some of the content that we're talking about is actually resonating with people and with the YouTube algorithm and such. So just search for BSPN Bay Area podcasting network, and just give us a subscribe, and you'll see when we go live, and we have 3 podcasts, or 4, technically 4 podcasts on the audio network, but 3 live streaming podcasts. And then if you are listening through the audio side, whatever you listen through, whether it's Apple Pods or Google or Spotify, ratings are helpful for rankings and such for us to be seen and on pages and be easily more searchable, all that stuff. So if you give us a rating, and if you give us if you write a little review as well, we will read it on air. And I was talking to somebody, Bri, because there you go again. You got muted again. So I was talking to somebody who he has a podcast of his own. And I was saying, it's kind of cool to read the reviews and give people reasons to write reviews and to rate your stuff. And he thought I was saying that he was gaming the system. And I was like, no. I respect it. You should be doing all of these things to make sure that you can, you can get more ratings and such. Because that's what it is. Like we're playing the Apple podcast game. It's not, we're like trying to cheat the system in any way. So we would love to see more reviews, and we'll read them on our shows, the different shows. If it's specifically about one or whatever, we'll definitely read them. All right, Bryce, so are you back, or what's going on here?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So it's never happened to me.
Are you going to explain this problem?
I genuinely don't know what's going on here. I think my Mac is it's your old Mac, so it's a 2015 Mac, and I think there was just too many applications open, and it was just like crashing itself. So if it happens again, we have to restart. But for the time being, I wanted to start the show with actually, now that we're 5 minutes in, how was 5 minutes of BSing right there? That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was just all about intro stuff, YouTube, podcast
Nice.
network, all that. I'm looking to actually do more stuff with the YouTube channel too, because the people who watched the beginning of this video, they saw a video that our buddy Zach made us. Zach has a 49ers podcast out there, and there's companies that will make videos for a little bit of fee. And so I do podcasts for the Wrestling Observer Network, and they just recently redid all of their video intros, and I liked the way it
Sweet.
looked. It looked really nice, and so I may go there and see if we can get one specific BSPN video
Yeah.
intro for all of our podcasts, just to kind of tighten it up and make it look all nice and everything. So
Nice.
yeah, we're gonna put some money into this thing for 2023 for sure.
Nice. But what I was gonna say is, do you know the last time that we did this podcast? What happened? Do you remember?
Steph got hurt, right? The next
No. So
game.
well, yeah, but we started this podcast last week by saying, "Oh my God, Carlos Correa just got signed by the
Oh
Giants."
yeah. You're right. You're 100% right. So
And we,
was it 8 days ago then? Like
yeah, I think we did it last Tuesday.
okay. And yeah, so that's one of the videos that's doing really well on the channel, on the
Oh
YouTube
man.
channel, is the Carlos Correa disaster timeline that Brad and I did yesterday. We did a breaking news podcast, and so it's in the network, and it's in the audio and the video. But yeah, like that, we started it because Brad and I had already recorded the day before, so we didn't want to come back because I said, "Oh, I'm doing it, Brian. We'll just mention it at the top of the show." And it's been all bad since then. It's been all bad for the Giants. It's been all bad for the Warriors. It's not all bad for the 49ers. The 49ers are actually doing really well with their third string quarterback. So we're going to have to figure out a way to maybe give some good juju to these teams here. The Giants we may not be able to do anything for the Giants, but at least for the Warriors, we need to give them some good juju. And that's what we're going to do later in the show. We're going to give our wishes of gifts to these players on this team. But before that, we might as well talk about the first thing, the important thing that happened that really, really is making it a disaster to watch some of these games, which is Steph Curry's injury in Indiana. Now, I know people were kind of saying, oh, he was going to bring them back and they're going to come back and win the game. I never really felt like they were going to win that game. It's just every time that they had an answer, like Indiana would come back and score so easily. But the bigger picture of that is that he did get hurt. He hurt his shoulder. And as far as the news that has come out recently, it doesn't sound like he says he can't even pick up a basketball. So it doesn't sound like he's coming back anytime soon whatsoever.
That sucks. I did see that too. But I mean, to your point about the Pacers game, yeah, I think you could say that. Like, maybe it's a fair argument that the Pacers kind of took their foot off the pedal when Steph went down, so it kind of made the reserves, and Draymond gets kicked out of that game too. So no Steph, no Dre, no Wiggins, and I think Clay wasn't playing the back-to-back either. So it made it easier for the reserves to kind of bring the game back to within, like, what they lose by, like 7 maybe? Like, it was still a game.
Yeah, I have the score here. So they lost 125 to 119. And the day before, they had lost to Milwaukee by 17. And so at that point, we said, we were coming off of the high of that Boston win, which was, man, that was such a fun game. Like, if you just go back to that, not even 2 weeks ago, the way I felt about the Warriors back then to now is like so different. It's just, like, watching these last few games has been just like, my gosh, are they the worst basketball team in the league without Steph Curry and without, like you said, without Andrew Wiggins? So we did our predictions and we said, what are they going to go on this road trip? And I said, I thought they could go 3-3. And so they start that road trip with the loss to Milwaukee, and Milwaukee is, one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the league. So that without Wiggins, that was not that, not that big of a surprise there. Losing to the Pacers, I was really frustrated in that game because it's just a defense. The defense cannot guard the perimeter, and these teams are eating by shooting threes, and we'll get to that in a second, and I have some numbers that will probably make your head explode a little bit here. Then they lost to Philly. Then they beat Toronto. They beat Toronto fairly well, and that's Jordan Poole's best game of the year. And so you're kind of going like, oh, that's really it's maybe they can actually take one of these next two. To go into New York and to lose by almost 40 points is pretty disgraceful, I think. Now, DiVincenzo, JaMychal Green were hurt. Or no, sick. They're not 38 points worth of sick, though. When they have to take a game off, it's not 38 points. So I would have been fine if they were fighting tooth and nail and playing close in New York. But to lose by 38 points is just, like, I can't imagine anybody wanted to wear that like they did in New York in Madison Square Garden, like the Big Apple. Like, it's kind of an important game. And they just laid down like dogs defensively. It's frustrating to watch.
Yeah. And we talked on this podcast a week ago on how we thought the Knicks one was going to kind of be like the easy gimme one,
and then they went off.
But what we didn't realize is probably by the time we said that they were maybe on like a 2 or 3 game win streak, which is like whatever. But by the time the Warriors played them, they were on like a 7-game win streak or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and then you look at the Raptors game. I personally wasn't like too like, yay, they beat the Raptors. This means that they're probably going to start winning again, because the Raptors were on a 7-game losing streak.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just any other team, most other teams, the Warriors would probably have lost that game. Took Jordan Poole to go off for almost 50 points for them to win it. I guess they actually won it by a decent margin.
But... Yeah, they did. So, okay. So outlook, right? Like you think about the outlook. When you go back to that Boston game, there was hope. There was like, oh, okay, when they're on, they can still play really good basketball. And a lot of what we had been talking about was you got to play the young guys, you got to play Kuminga, got to play Moody. After this road trip, I sort of feel like those guys had opportunities, and Kuminga, I think he's been hurt, which is probably part of his struggle. He only played 5 minutes in that Toronto game, and I think he turned his ankle in the Brooklyn game. So, some of it could be a little bit of injury here and there. But I don't think he or Moody necessarily showed out in a way that I thought they were going to try and prove that they need to be in the lineup more. Moody had a lot of garbage points yesterday, but I come out of this road trip going like, if they trade somebody this year, I think it's Moses Moody.
Interesting. I think that, like Kuminga's road trip was kind of disappointing, because of all the guys that were out, JaMychal Green, DiVincenzo, Wiggins, Curry. Like Kuminga completely just shoots up the depth chart on who needs to provide. And I feel like those young guys are too afraid to mess up. Moses Moody and Wiseman included are too afraid to mess up. But Jonathan really isn't. He kind of just goes and
he doesn't care. He almost doesn't like. Who cares if I get pulled out of this game?
I feel like he has these modes where it's like, okay, I'm going to be the role player today. I'm going to be the slashing guy who's going to make the right pass and play good defense. And other times he's like, okay, well, I have to be the guy. And it's like, no, you really never have to be the guy. And when you try to be the guy, it's not good. And so it's a little disappointing in that regard, where it's like, okay, I would have loved for him to show, like, have this, Jalen Green top of the picks, Mobley, Cade, because he was up there with Green and Scotty, like
Wagner.
have that type of showing with Franz as well, like have that type of scoring output where you like really look like you have a lot of promise as a guy in this league. And he didn't do that, but I'm still confident in him as like our 7th best guy off the bench of a role players, just going back into that mode. But yeah, from perspective of like him kind of showing more than what we thought he already had, he didn't do that, and I guess that's unfortunate. I don't know. I'm still like, I agree with you that I think Moses Moody could probably be on the trade block here, but I didn't think he was like awful.
It's not that he's awful, and I don't think he's awful because he can shoot the basketball. He just does not do anything on the court as you're watching you're looking for people to stand out and kind of turn the momentum a little bit. And he just kind of hides. Like he hides in the game. You think about someone like GP2 last year, and I'm not saying Moses Moody was going to be a GP2 type defender, but they drafted him to be a 3-and-D guy. And so you watch GP and you go, wow, like there are like 2 or 3 plays every game where he makes sure that the eyeballs are on him, whether it's an athletic dunk, a defensive stop, a steal, just a smart play. Like he made those plays even in the playoffs until he got hurt. You recognize when GP was on the court. When Moses Moody is on the court, sometimes I'm watching the game and I'm going like, Steve's got to put Moses in. And then I look and Moses is in. And I don't even realize that he's in because nothing has happened.
Yeah, I feel like Moses he's trying to make sure he doesn't do anything wrong, but at the same time in that Warriors offense, like you have to do things right.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really do things right, and he's trying to make sure he doesn't do anything wrong.
Okay, even if let's say he doesn't, let's say it's not even about whether or not he's doing something right or wrong. Kuminga, in doing anything, he just pops out on the screen because he's got the crazy athleticism. Wiseman, he's the most giant human being on the court, even, in today's NBA. He's going to stand out. And Moses kind of just falls into the background. And I'm not sure if you are searching for minutes unless the offense is working like clockwork when you are in the game and you are a big part of that. I don't think you can just stand in the background. And some of it may just be that he's scared to get pulled out. He's a young dude. Like this is not me going like, oh, like he should be one of the top 10. Like it's a different system. We've been talking about this forever. The Warriors and this 2 timeline thing, which is absolutely, I think we can actually say right now, not working. But for Moses, I would just like to see a little bit more of like, I have to do something in this game to be a big part of it and to try and help us win. And he's just trying to fit in when I just want to see him do something that stands out where I'm like, that's a winning basketball play. There's so much of what I saw yesterday, and we'll get to this with Poole. Brooklyn had, I wouldn't even consider Brooklyn a great team. They have a great player in KD, and they have a really good, what you would call puzzle piece in Ben Simmons. He doesn't fit perfectly, I'm sure, like they want him to fit. And then they didn't even have Kyrie. And sometimes their offense actually works better when Kyrie's not there because it just goes through KD. But they're a good enough team to where you look at them and you're like, okay, let's see how the Warriors play because I want to see them measure up against these guys. And they're just getting their butt kicked. And nobody, Draymond included, is getting mad at all. It's just happening and they can't stop it. And Bob Fitzgerald is doing the whole of, oh my God, what a shooting exhibition by Brooklyn. And I'm like, Bob, these are wide open threes. Like, it's not like they should be making these shots. And, I like to pick on Ty Jerome just because you can, but there's a moment where they weren't going to win this game, but they had got it. At halftime, they're losing by 40. It's early in the fourth quarter. They get it down to 18, and they're actually playing well. Patrick Baldwin's hitting threes. Wiseman's getting dunks. And so Brooklyn does one thing. I want to say it was Claxton. It may not have been Claxton. He just sets a screen that is not even a great screen on Ty Jerome. And I think the Warriors are actually playing zone. So this is even more ridiculous than it sounds. He just kind of stands in front of Ty Jerome. Whoever was bringing up the ball just passes it directly to TJ Warren, like not even trying to run a play. It was literally, we're going to set a small screen on this tiny man, and he's trying to fight through this thing, and he's flailing, and he can't get around, and it's easy three, boom, go down the next thing. Anthony Lamb misses Wiseman, who had a little on him, throws the ball into like the fifth row. They come back down 3 right in Anthony Lamb's eye, and then it's back up to 24. And Steve had to call a timeout. And I was just like, as good as we think these two-way guys are, and they get some credit for being able to play, and Steve actually trusts them in instances more than he trusts his young rookies. They are still a detriment on the basketball court. On a good team, these guys would not play. And so when you see them play, you see them getting all these minutes, for me, it's not attaboy, glad you guys are in this game. You guys are trying so hard. It's like, no, why are they playing? That's my question. Because if Ty Jerome is your 12th man, if he's your Chioza, great, right? Great. He's fun to root for if he's Chioza. But as someone who's getting regular minutes in the rotation, all I do is go like, he's by far the worst player on this basketball court. And that's no shot at him. He's an NBA player, which means he's better than 99% of the world. But in this game, I'm just like, man, how do we exist with this? And so, yeah, that was yesterday was so frustrating. The Knicks game was even worse, but there's no fight. There's no fight. I'm waiting for Draymond to get pissed. And I think it's going to happen on Christmas, by the way. That's going to be one of my predictions. But I'm waiting for somebody to get mad. I'm just waiting, like, stop this stuff. Like you saw Steph, and we used it as our little photo here for the thumbnail. This is the photo, right? When the Warriors are getting blown out, Steph with his hands together, right near his mouth, almost as if to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And that, like, who out, without Steph on the court, who's going to be the guy? Who's going to be the person who's just like, I'm just going to bust this guy's ass to stop this because we can't have this. Clay is, for whatever reason, cannot be that guy right now because he's not feeling like that person. But man, I'm just waiting for it to happen. And it's just sad watching the offense sputter and the defense just give up wide open threes.
Yeah. And that guy, I mean, you just paid Poole to essentially try to be that guy at least. And he's been doing an awful job at being that guy.
Yeah.
So that's a little frustrating because, he has that great game against Toronto. And then you look at, the Brooklyn game a couple games later and it's just, missing layups, dribbling, like just not being able to catch the ball either. Like it's just so many mental mistakes that I feel like he's just, and then of course we always talk about it, the attitude, or like he's just kind of looking like a sad guy out there. It's just, it's so frustrating because you want these guys to do well, and the rookies or the younger players that I've been very excited to see, although they haven't been really helping the case, like the guys who are playing, getting the big minutes aren't playing well either. So that's putting the rookies more as obvious trade candidates, which kind of sucks in that regard too. So I feel like the bigger question is going to be, they're talking about this long road trip, this 8 or 9 game, or sorry, homestand, this 8 or 9 game homestand. It's like, this is going to be a big indicator for how the season is going to progress. It's like, what have they shown us to say that they could even go 500 on this? Like, yeah, they have the nice home record. But
yeah, that's it, right? That's it.
I don't know if I'd bet on them to at least go 500 in Steph's absence. And yeah, Wiggins not being here is like, you can kind of see like that is a really like a big deal, but he's not going to be the 27 points per game guy while Steph's out. That's just not the player he decided to, or the player that the Warriors needed from him when he got there. So
yeah, so we're going to actually go to the 6th game of this homestand, which is January 4th. That's the game that me, you, and your brother are going to. And I'm sort of crossing my fingers that, maybe Steph can be back. It doesn't look like it. And I wonder if he's even going to be back by the 10th against Phoenix. Just the information that he's basically put out, which is, he's just got to be patient with it. And he can't even really pick up a basketball right now. It doesn't sound like it. And if you go 500 on this homestand, that is not good, because then you're going immediately on a 5-game road trip. And on that road trip, you got the Celtics and the Cavs on the back end of that. So it's not, it's not going to be the easiest of road trips there. So I had a stat that I was telling you and our buddy Ben Cruz earlier today that just didn't make any sense whatsoever for me. I just didn't understand it. So watching that Brooklyn game, I just was wondering why is the Warriors perimeter defense so bad? Is it rotations? Is it because they're kind of stuck in the zone, and in a zone you kind of get, not you're not purposely being lazy, but you get kind of stuck into your spot, right? And you get kind of manipulated by some of the good teams and some of the length. And when you have Ty Jerome at one of the wings of that zone, yeah, imagine him trying to close out on KD if they just stuck KD out in the 3-point line. You're just like, okay, good luck. So the Warriors have the single best home 3-point field goal shooting against. So teams, when they come to Chase Center, they shoot 29.7% from 3. The next best team at home is Memphis at 31.3. So there's a little bit of a distance there between the Warriors and Memphis. Yet you flip it on the other side. When the Warriors are on the road, they give up 41.2% from 3 to their opponents. That is ridiculous. 41% from 3 to their opponents. Now, interestingly enough, Memphis is like third worst, I think, in the NBA with on road threes. So whatever, I don't even know what that means. And a lot of the other teams are almost all of the other teams, they're way tighter. But then you have like teams like Philadelphia, who they give up less than 34%, whether it's home or away. So their perimeter defense and their length and all that stuff. And you start thinking about these other teams that are longer than the Warriors, at Cleveland, 32.8 at home, 36.9 away. The Knicks, 32.8 at home, 34.6 away. So, but I just don't understand. What is it about the Warriors that makes it so that they are so grotesque on the road when it comes up to giving up 3-point shots?
I don't have an answer for you. I feel like that kind of goes in line with their home record and their away record.
Yeah,
like I don't understand why is that
it absolutely
so,
does. It absolutely does.
why is that so, like, why is there such a gap there? It's so weird. Like I don't know if I've ever seen a team be so good at home, like a top team in the league at home and like a bottom team in the league on the road. I can't remember the last time I've seen that.
Yeah.
And your stat goes right with it.
And so some of the things that I was thinking about, a lot of times when the Warriors are resting their vets, they do it on the road, right? Because you don't want to upset the home fans by sitting your guys at home. They're paying for fill that building, and that makes sense to me. The second thing is something that Tim Kawakami and Anthony Slater were talking about last night, which is just the mere fact that when you're home, people are cheering for you, and when you're away, they are not cheering for you. Like that's the mentality, right? Of being in a different place, and also there's travel involved, and historically, home and away. I wonder what the overall percentage, in NBA history is. Probably like 55-45, something like that. 55, you win 55% of your home games or something like that. And the good teams like the Warriors, win more of them. But even last year, they kind of struggled on the road. It was one of the things when they were on in 15 and 16, they were an excellent road team and a historic home team. Last year, they were still really good at home. On the road, they were a little bit closer to 500 than they had been in the past. So there's something there. And then I guess the other thing, you had mentioned this. What was you had sent something to me in chat, like as one of the things that you thought it could be.
Yeah, what did I say?
Or maybe oh no, you said just that because the Warriors are champions, like these teams are sort of circling that game and trying to measure themselves against the Warriors, which makes sense.
I didn't think that was like the sole reason, but I definitely think there is some games where when Fitz is like, oh my God, this team's on like a massacre right now, like the other team, some of that, there is some of that to when he says that, when I think that teams do go up and get up against the Warriors, similar to how the Warriors get up when a big time player or when an ABC game is on, like they want to do better. I think that's how teams measure themselves against the champs. Not only the champs, it's not like teams are doing that against the Bucks. I mean, maybe they were, but it's just also the Warriors. A lot of these kids, who are the stars of their young teams right now, like they grew up watching the Warriors just kick butt and get Kevin Durant and break all the basketball rules by doing that.
Who's
So,
the Gonzaga kid from the Pacers?
Andrew Nemhard.
Yeah, I mean he definitely was like trying to target Steph, right? Like he was just
Yeah.
like, I'm going to do my best to get buckets on you. Ben Cruz, our buddy, said that he thought it just meant that that like the home record kind of is a little bit overrating for them, and maybe they're not as good as even what their record is now because of the variance and stuff. So we'll see what I would just I want someone smarter than me about this stuff to study it and to give us some information, because it's grotesque the difference in the like 41%, like basically when the Warriors go on the road, everybody against them is Reggie Miller, or
Yeah.
whoever the guy is who's shooting 41%, Ray Allen, or like that's essentially who they turn everybody into on the road. So it's kind of a weird thing. Okay, so did you find any small glimmers of hope on this road trip, the 1-5 road trip? Was there anything you saw that maybe gave you a little bit of like, there might be something here in the midst of all of this terribleness?
Obviously Jordan Poole's big scoring game, but then it was quickly, not as good in the next two games. I think for me, like I know I just keep praising Jonathan Kuminga even when he's not the greatest, but like watching him every single night go up against the opposing team's best forward and best guard in the same game, that's like pretty sweet. Like that's pretty sweet that they trust him to do that. And it'd probably be Wiggins if he's back, but like JK is doing a great job against these people. So
What about Wiseman? Wiseman's big game yesterday, 30 points. I think he only missed 2 shots.
yeah, I mean that was awesome to see, because I know that we've kind of been on his side during all this stuff. But I mean, still like you could still see all the lapses on defense that is just like, oh man. But like even offensively, like I would like to see him like maybe pass out sometimes, so guys might want to give it to him more, because if they know they're not getting the ball back, there's not as much incentive to give it to him.
There's a play here, by the way, is Wiseman sets a high screen, and then he doesn't dart to the middle. What he does is like he takes up all of this space and just kind of moves the middle and whoever's guarding him. And if you were to throw that pass right when he kind of turns, he probably has a bucket every time, but they weren't giving it to him. Um, they were I, they're not comfortable giving it to him, I guess. Maybe they don't want the turnover, the possible turnover. But there's something there where I noticed he sets the screen and then he doesn't like roll hard. He kind of glides and then just creates this space and shields off the defender. I thought that was something that they could work with, but they got passing the ball. Um, and the other thing is, he finally was just trying to dunk over people and stop trying to be nice about
And
it.
I think there was a game plan to like give him the ball, and I don't know if I read into that too much and how it's like we want to make him look good so we could trade him type of deal, but there definitely was some type of assignment where it's like, okay, you guys need to actually pass the ball to this guy.
Yeah. Like we said, DiVincenzo and Jermichael Green were sick. Sounds like Jermichael Green may be COVID related, but they said that DiVincenzo's wasn't. And DiVincenzo's been playing really well of late.
Yeah.
He's a little small, so he kind of gets bullied offensively by the better players, but he's pretty savvy. He'll get steals, he'll bait guys into throwing him the ball. And I want to see what happens when Steph comes back, because then you have 4 guards that you can that are playing at a good level. Well, we'll talk about Clay in a second here, but I want to see him back in the mix with Steph playing, because I think he's one of the guys that Steph seems to trust. Like, it seems like Steph really likes playing with him. And so, yeah, that was frustrating to see him out, because I think he may have been that guy that I was talking about, who's just like, F this, like, not letting these guys keep killing us.
He has been. And that's been awesome to watch. Another thing that you can kind of take out of this road trip that I don't think they will, and I don't know if they should, is PBJ, man. What was that? What was that score? Did you watch the rest of that game?
Yesterday's?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
He was like, what? How many threes did he hit?
I think he made 5.
Five of them, like in a row. Like
Yeah.
he went like 5 for 5 from 3. Like that's what I said in the last podcast, where it's like, I don't know how a guy who can shoot like him like can't find minutes on this team. And I wonder if they are going to start maybe giving him a little more spot minutes to see what he can do, because he's an NBA shooter, like an above average shooter.
Athleticism wise, he doesn't look like he's a great athlete, so that's probably some of it. But yeah, we're going to talk about him in a second, because
Okay.
let's talk about, it is the holiday season, Christmas. The Warriors play on Christmas against the Grizzlies, and before we dig into that game, I thought it would be nice. What could we give some of these Warrior players? I'm not talking about physical gifts, right? Trey Lance gave everybody on the 49ers a Sonos speaker for their sound systems or whatever. Like, well, I'm talking about physical gifts. These guys could buy whatever they want. But what could we wish? What could we have high hopes for the rest of the season for these guys? And let's start with one Steph Curry. I have 2 things that I would like to hope, that I would like to gift him. Obviously, the health. Now, if the Warriors were winning, if the Warriors were 16 or 17 and 13 rather than the other way around, whatever their record is right now, maybe the time off for Steph is like, it's fine. Like he can, he's gonna miss some time anyways. It's fine if it's now, but they have a losing record, so it's unfortunate. Obviously, I want him to get health, so that is one. The second thing, I want to get him another player. Let's get Steph a player who they can depend on and who can play clutch minutes for them and who they can rely on. They may have to give up one of these young guys to do that. And they're going to have to mix and match with salaries, because they're in this tax thing. And I know, I think it was John Hollinger who wrote that he thought that they were going to trade Wiseman just so that they don't have to pay that repeater tax as high next year. I hope not, but I can see the theory behind that, especially if he's not playing well. If he's playing well, then that makes it really hard. But if he's not, then it doesn't make it as hard. But I mentioned Moody, whether if it's Moody, but we've mentioned guys Caruso, or the best one would be Jay Crowder, but there's no way Phoenix is giving up Jay Crowder to us.
No.
I know you have a request for Siakam, which Siakam's like one of the 12 best players in the league. That would be awesome if they did.
Should I do the reasoning?
Well, I mean, do you want to get all the Clay fans mad at you?
I did want to say at least that, like, I've seen a lot of Warriors fans who are kind of use this timeline, use the Steph, Clay, Dre timeline, and punt the rest of the rookies. And I've seen them say like, "Oh, we should have done like Wiseman for like Royce O'Neal," and and I mean,
you mean the 3-point shooting god from last night, Royce O'Neal?
Yeah, and even like a Moody for like a Caruso straight up, even if you didn't have to have the money match. Like, I can't see the Warriors front office kind of just taking the L like that. I feel like they're too prideful, and they wouldn't do it unless it's for a big.
By the way, though, in last year's draft, don't you think the player who Alex Caruso has become would have been drafted around the same time as Moses Moody?
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe a little after, like maybe not that high, but somewhere in like the middle of the first round, right? Like that, like what we see from Alex Caruso, if he was in last year, that's kind of where he would fit. So I don't know how, it's just the idea of giving up a young 19-year-old versus a vet.
Yeah, and okay, so my trade proposal, I've been asking like people from like I asked my uncle who's a Lakers fan. I asked my other buddy who's like a LeBron/Laker fan. I was trying to get different perspectives on how they view this trade proposal I'm about to propose here. And I DM'd a Raptors guy. He hasn't gotten back to me yet, but because okay, here's the trade proposal. This is all in a universe where the Raptors decide, you know what? They actually won last night, so I was hoping they'd lose to push this agenda even more. They finally broke like an 8-game losing streak.
Talking about 50-something, man.
Yeah, that didn't help this trade proposal at all. But in a world where the Raptors decide, you know what, we want to blow it up. We want to just kind of revolve our team around Scotty Barnes. We're going to get rid of Siakam. We're going to get rid of Van Vliet, and we're going to get rid of any of the old guys, maybe even Otto Porter Jr.'s on the run again. And so that would be to tank for, you know, Wembanyama, whoever's in this upcoming draft. So they would you still have the hero graphic?
I do.
We should get him back.
He's hurt again, though.
I know. But so that would have to be the focus for this to become a reality, and for the Warriors, I guess, to continue losing and realize that, hey, we need someone, and we need someone big to make this to give us a shot. Because even if the Warriors, like, even if they go 500 or if they go less in this homestand, when Steph comes back, like, it's going to be too big of a hole to dig yourself out of to even become still relevant.
That's why they have to have a winning record on this homestand.
Exactly. That's why the urgency needs to be now. And this goes against everything I've said with the young guys, but I did a 3-team trade involving the Los Angeles Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, and the Toronto Raptors, where the Warriors end up with Siakam, the Lakers end up with Klay Thompson, and the Raptors end up with Russ, those 2 Lakers first-round picks that everyone's been shopping around, Wiseman, Moody, and a couple pick swaps if they want it from the Warriors. So I was interested on different perspectives regarding the trade because I keep looking at it.
Does it work money-wise for the Raptors?
So it doesn't. So the Raptors need to shed $17 million worth of money, which is kind of a lot. So
then they probably have to dump their players on one of the
They would almost have to dump like Gary Trent Jr. makes like that exact amount.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at teams with cap space who could basically take someone in and not really have to match the money back to send back to the Raptors. And the Pacers and the Spurs have cap space. And Gary Trent Jr. fits those guys' timelines, specifically the Pacers, for a good young player who can, you know, run with Halliburton and Mathurin. So I just basically traded Gary Trent Jr. for Chris Duarte straight up. And then
but wait a second here. So the Warriors would give up Klay, who's making 40.
Mm-hmm.
They would give up, you said Wiseman?
They'd give up Wiseman, Klay, and Moody. But Klay would go to Los Angeles, and Wiseman and Moody plus picks would go to the Toronto Raptors.
Okay, but if the Warriors give up all of those players, that is about $55 million or so, maybe a little bit less than that. So they could almost take on Siakam and Trent both. Because Siakam makes 29, and if you said Trent makes 17, actually, you know what? That might be wrong. That might be Siakam. Yeah, 29 and 17. So that comes out to 46, and Klay, and so they'd still be under of the players they gave up.
Yeah, that just feels unfair, though, doesn't it? The Warriors end up with Siakam and Gary Trent Jr.
And so the Russ thing, I wonder because if Klay's making 40,
Russ is making like 50.
Yeah,
I want to do the trade again and do it how you said.
What's Russ's salary? Russ is making 47. Klay Thompson is making 40. Yeah. So I don't know what the Lakers cap situation is, but they may have to. There may have to be another guy that goes off of their team as well, just to make it work. But you know that's all that there's details that you could.
They're getting off of Russ at 47 and getting Klay back at 40. Doesn't that work?
Yeah, but I forget what the percentage of contracts that has to be. I guess it's close. It's probably close enough.
Let's try this trade. The trade is successful if we get Gary Trent Jr. back.
There we go.
That doesn't sound fair, though. And per John Hollinger's analysis, the Lakers lose 4 wins, the Warriors lose 5 wins, and the Raptors lose 9 wins.
What? How does everybody lose?
No one wins
in that trade.
That's why you can't look at the Hollinger stuff. But if you look at it from the Lakers' perspective, let me just quickly do this, because if you look at it from the Lakers' perspective, all of the rumors that we've seen Russ in the 2 picks for. It's been Russ in the 2 picks for Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson, Russ in the 2 picks for Bojan Bogdanovic, Russ in the 2 picks for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner.
Yeah.
Tell me Klay Thompson is not the best player they could potentially get back in a package like that.
I think he would be, but if you're watching this version of Klay
It's
playing
not
with
great.
Steph, who gets him open shots, he would have to pull back a little bit, right? Playing with LeBron is a little bit different than playing with Steph. He may be sort of turned into a sit in the corner kind of guy.
Exactly. And not to say that Klay isn't getting like open looks because of Steph on the Warriors, but Klay is totally creating his own shot when sometimes he maybe doesn't need to, or sometimes he does need to. I think on a team with LeBron and AD, not to say that they have more gravity than Steph, but maybe as a collective they command more people to, quickly try to bait them into doing something. So LeBron would have a wide open kick out to Klay. Klay's catch and shoot numbers are still really good. I think it's in like the 40s. So I think that also, if LeBron still had a say in that front office, I think we have no clue if he does or not, unless you know something. But I think if LeBron had a say, I think he would want Klay out of all the packages too.
He probably has just about the biggest say.
I think he would vouch for Klay. So,
and
I asked Uncle, and he said because the 2 packages that are really like the bigger ones that I've talked about is like Klay for Russ in the 2 picks, or Buddy Hield, Miles Turner in the 2 picks. Like those are probably the 2 best ones. And he said that he'd rather have Klay. And my other friend said that as a LeBron fan, I'd rather have Klay, but as a Lakers fan, I'd rather have Buddy Hield, Miles Turner. I still think it's Klay. Klay has proven that he is there. And when it comes to playoff time, he's dependable. He won't get played off the floor. Like that's the guy who I think would fit the Lakers the best. The guy who ups your shooting from 3 and then still can provide a lot on defense. I think he would fit the Lakers perfectly. And that's why I'm hesitant to give him up. And that's also why, like, if you're a Warriors fan, you're like, no, you can't break up Klay, Steph, and Dre. Like, I totally get it, like hands off on the trade then. But if there is a way to get better, you want to package the young guys and try to get a star back, you do have to add in someone who makes a lot of money. And it's, Wiggins has been the name that's been shopped around, but Wiggins is almost like our second best player. So I probably wouldn't do it. And I'd probably cut ties with Klay to do it.
All right, so I decided to give Steph another player and some health. Is there anything else you can think of putting under Steph's Christmas tree?
A championship. Let's give him a championship.
Another one to match.
And to do that, he needs Siakam.
Okay, so what about Dre? I have 2 things for Dre. One of them is just a healthy Steph, because when Steph is not there, Dre is not good. Dre, I don't know what Dre does without Steph. It's almost like he's like a lost child. Like when he doesn't have Steph to create opportunities for, he's just like, where do I go? What do I do? I don't know. And then he forces passes and he misses layups and he just plays poorly. I want Steph back, but I also want, I don't know how you can do this because we know their money situation, but can we reopen some dialogue and talk about contract for Dre? Because we know that opportunity is coming up, and I think he's played fairly well. I don't know. I don't think he's a $26 million player, but I think he's proven that the Warriors probably should try and figure out a way to bring him back for at least the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. I also want to give him a long hug with Jordan Poole. I want to gift him that. But yeah, the contract stuff does need to be talked about, especially in the beginning of the year when he was like so clear, like one of our best players.
Yeah.
Like you needed him to win.
Yeah,
I think he's definitely slowed down lately, but when things are running, like it's going to be because, he's playing at a really high level. So, all
right, Jordan Poole, I want to give him some toughness because Ben Simmons decided yesterday that the best way to get Jordan out of his game was to be rough with him. And he was holding him, he was grabbing him, he was fouling him, and Jordan was looking for help from the refs. He was looking for every possible reason to maybe not be blamed for not playing well. But Ben Simmons took him out of this game in the first quarter, and that was all they needed to boat race the Warriors right then and there. Once Jordan was out, Jordan's supposed to be Steph Light, and the second he was out, the Warriors couldn't score, and it was over. That game was over in a blink of an eye. What was the first quarter? Was like 42-17 or something like that.
Yeah.
And Jordan has the ball. He's the dominant ball handler. He's the dominant scorer, and he cannot get taken out of the game that early, especially by someone who's they're just being physical and long and D'ing him up and challenging him. Like that's where Jordan should be like, it's on. Like this is basketball. It's on. And he shies away from that moment. And it's so bothersome to me because I want to see him. Like I want to see the fire and the rage in him. And I want to see him talk crap. And I want to see him busted in Ben's eye. And he's chatting with Ben going, no, it was the opposite. He kind of shrunk from that moment. And he can't do that. Not with Steph being out like that. It just can't happen like that.
Yeah, I think I'm gifting him hunger, but to gift him hunger, I think I have to take away things. I have to take away the food he has every night so he gets a little hungry.
Yeah, he seemed a little bit like those people who, when you play basketball against it and you know that they're really good and you're thinking like, "Oh gosh, how do I slow this guy down?" And maybe you foul him a little hard or you kind of grab him and you see what you can get away with and they just get so frustrated and it sort of takes them out of the game. That's kind of what it was like. And it was like
Yeah,
almost like too
that's
easy
good.
for Ben. And we're talking about Ben Simmons. Like Ben Simmons is the guy who's getting reamed by social media everywhere. This guy has like more determination than Jordan Poole. I didn't understand that. So I'm hoping that, someone could, whether it's Andre or whatever, just remind him, like, dude, you just put 40 some odd points on the Raptors. Like, let's fight through this stuff. He gets to the line. He's the only Warrior who gets the line. So we know he's not afraid, right? He's not afraid to go to the hole. He's not afraid to get fouled. He's not afraid to hit the ground. But once it's that mano y mano stuff, and he kind of shies away. And so I'm just under his tree, whatever it looks like, the vision of toughness. That's what I want for him. Okay, what about Clay? What could we give Clay?
What could we give Clay?
I'm thinking a little bit of like a positivity in the mindset and like just a trust factor, and like you don't have to be 2017 Clay. You need to be 2022 Finals Clay. We need the defense. You don't need to make every shot. You just need to play within yourself and just remember who you are, because he's trying to be somebody who he's not. And maybe that's because Steph is out and he thinks that he's got to pick it up. But remember, gosh, it's been over a month probably, when Draymond's had that talk with him and was like, you got to stop hunting shots and all that. He did for a little bit, but now it seems like he's back to just trying to hunt shots. And he shoots the Warriors into turnovers. And what I mean by that is they make one pass and they're trying to kind of get something going, and he throws up a shot and it is so off that they almost can't even really react. And the defense is going to the other end and has a layup because that's like a turnover. It's like Clay shooting into a turnover. And so I just want Clay to just clear his mind, play basketball. Don't be somebody who he isn't. And like, I'm sure it's frustrating to not have your physical talent and athleticism like you used to. And he's going to have to go through that and learn about that. But let's go all the way back to the beginning of the season, right? Remember when he wasn't playing in the preseason and he wasn't practicing and he was a little worried about that. There's a whole psychology to that stuff that seemed to have started. And this is after he had a really good NBA final. So there's something going on there. And I just hope that he can remember that he's Klay Thompson, damn it.
You're gifting him a pep talk.
Not even a pep talk. It's like a mindset. It's like he's laying down on the couch and I'm just sitting there and we're talking, and I'm just
Tony
like,
Robbins, another Tony Robbins.
I'm just like, Clay, you got to remember who you are.
He got the worst gift. He's gonna be like, no fair. Steph got a new player.
Okay, what about Wiseman?
Man, you go on this one.
I want to give him some hands.
Oh, okay.
because if he could catch the ball the way that he wants to catch the ball, because part of this is I think he knows he's got a move that he's ready and he's got a position, and all he needs to do is catch and go. And sometimes he doesn't catch it clean, and so then it stops, and then sometimes he then drops it, and then they got to start all over. I wanna give him some new mitts, man. He if he can improve just catching the basketball, I think that improves the offense, his offense, that much more. Now, defensively, it's a little different because he's so long that he gets out of in the wrong space and it just takes him forever to get back. And in today's NBA, that's like death sentence.
Yeah, I'm giving him playing time, whether it's on the Warriors or not. So
No,
also, I think
it's
I
got
want
to
to
be
give.
for the Warriors though, or else I don't want to
Okay.
give Wiseman a gift if he's on the Raptors. No, I'm just kidding.
I would love for Wiseman to succeed on the Raptors. I mean, I would just. Oh, I would go on a Twitter rant and be like,
all
"See,
my Wiseman
rookie
autograph cards and
cards,"
rookie cards.
and I'm giving him reaction time too. Because don't you feel like he's like a when your 2K internet connection is laggy and you shoot the shot and then the ball comes out like a second later. Like I feel like I've seen people shoot a three in that Brooklyn Nets game in his face, and then a second later he jumps to contest Patty Mills. I'm like, the ball's halfway in the air.
Yeah. Same with drives to him. Like they know they got to throw it up high, and he jumps just that second too late to where
Yeah.
they're able to get it up, and he
It's
doesn't
opposite
distract their shot.
Draymond. I think we've said
Yeah.
that too. Like Draymond anticipates like a second early. Wiseman
Yeah.
anticipates like a second late.
All right. What about your boy Kuminga?
Kuminga, whoa, I might be giving him a Clay pep talk as well.
Okay.
I might be sitting him down. He's laying down on the couch, and I'm saying, Mr. Kuminga, you do not have to be someone you're not. Not yet. Not yet.
Let it come.
Let it come. Don't force it.
Your time will come. Mine was sort of similar. I just want to give him patience. He was so antsy last night, and he was missing easy shots. He was missing layups. He was dropping ball. You could just tell he so badly wanted to perform. And I'm like, that's the right attitude. Bring it down a second. Like you just, have a little bit more patience, and the game, let the game, here's the old proverb, NBA proverb, right? Let the game come to you. That's what I hope for Kuminga. Okay. Just two more. Three more. Three quick ones. Two, one sentence each. Moody.
I am gifting Moody. Dude, I suck at these. I just want to critique them, and you're just putting the
well, I mean, it is
them through gifts.
It's an opportunity. Yeah, it's an opportunity to critique them. Okay, I'll say what I was going to say, which is, I want to give him a certain drive to prove himself rather than playing so defensively like he is. Like, I want him to just be like, you know what? I'm going to make a mistake. It's fine if I make a mistake. If I get pulled out, I get pulled out, but I'm going to give my 100% so that if things go well, this is the player that I can be. I just want to put him in that mentality.
Yeah. Again, I think the Warrior system requires that you do things right. You can't just like be standing there. So I want him to, like, I don't know. I'm sure he knows the system, but actually play in it. Make the right pass. You don't have to go create your own bucket. You don't have to be the last chance guy sometimes when he just starts driving to the hoop with nowhere to go. Like,
also, and the one thing that could sort of help that is, let's give him an opportunity to play with Steph and Draymond at the same time. That probably helps. All right, PBJ for me. Give him 3 extra minutes a game.
Give him some minutes.
See if he could bust a shot. See if he
That's 3 extra minutes than he already gets.
Yeah, see if he could stretch a defense for you.
I'm telling you, he could. If you can make him like half of what JaMychal Green is, I feel like that's a win.
Give for DiVincenzo, just more opportunities to show out, because he's playing for a contract. He's probably not going to be with the Warriors next year.
Yeah,
and let's just he is a heart and soul kind of player. He's very easy to root for. So just give him more opportunities.
Totally. Yeah, you don't have to give that guy anything. I feel like he's awesome right now.
All right, last one. JaMychal Green. Give him a seat right next to Steve. No, I'm just kidding. I know.
Give him a 3-point shot.
I'm a little hard. I'm a little hard on JaMychal just because I expected him to be a little bit more of a guy who could easily fit in, and it's pretty clear that this is not the right team for him. So here's what I'm actually hoping for Jermichael. I hope that he has a next good couple weeks, and that some team who could actually utilize him better than the Warriors wants to trade for him, because I think he just needs a different team. But it's kind of weird though, because he played on Denver last year, and you got Jokic, who's such a creator. And I didn't think Jermichael was this bad last year, but I didn't watch him this closely either. I just sort of figured that he played a little bit better in that system. But
if he could shoot a
I
damn
think he's on the
3-ball,
wrong
like
team.
if he could shoot like a 3-ball at a semi-consistent clip, like I mean, he's useful to the Warriors still. So
Well,
that's what I want to gift him.
It's open. There's nobody more open than Jermichael Green out there on the perimeter.
Yep.
Okay. Last thing here. So just Memphis is the 25th. I think they're going to try for the kill shot. They're going to try and run the Warriors off of the court. But here's why I think it's going to be good. Remember how I was talking about there's no one who's like sort of standing up and going like, okay, enough of this crap. Here's my real prediction. Ja and Draymond both get kicked out of this game. I think there's too much like Ja wants to prove that they're the better team. Draymond wants to prove that it's not his time. Unfortunately, Steph's not going to be on the court, but I think there's going to be some dust up. If they don't get kicked out, they're both getting techs. I think that's worse for the Warriors though if Draymond gets kicked out, because we saw last year how they can play without Ja if they get Bane back. I don't know if Bane will be back by.
No, they'd still beat the Warriors without.
Yeah, it's probably. But I'm predicting we're probably going to take another L here. Not like Memphis is destroying everybody, right? They're a terrible road team, like I just mentioned, when it comes to the shooting stats. They're just like the Warriors, not as bad, but just like the Warriors when it comes to defending on the road. I think Memphis will win. What I hope is that it lights a fire under the Warriors, because they're kind of just going through the motions against these teams they don't have any real fight for. But this is a team that they want to win, they want to beat. And again, Jordan Poole, this is your moment, bro. Like these guys are going to come at you. Dylan Brooks is going to try and hurt your feelings.
Dylan Brooks already said he's guarding Clay, so if that happens, it's a good sign for Poole.
Well, I mean, but these guys get chased off of guys. There will be opportunities there. But yeah, I think this is the kind of game the Warriors need to get their manhood tested a little bit, to kind of I don't know, show some fire, something. I'm just waiting to see who that person is, though. DiVincenzo, we know DiVincenzo is that person. Draymond is that person, but Draymond is trying to be Mr. Nice Guy this year for whatever reason. Kerr is that person, right? But who else? Who else is going to step up and not let that happen? Kuminga's shown a little bit of like, FU energy sometimes, but I think he also knows he's like a little kid and he's not about to get in any fights with these adults. So whatever it is, I still think they're going to lose, but my hope is that there's some fire and we're going to see some fight here on Christmas.
I'm with you.
All right. We will be back sometime next week. Undecided right now, but we'll go and we'll be recapping this homestand and we'll sort of figure out where they stand, because we went when we last recorded, we're like, okay, six games on the road, what is it going to be like? And it was all bad. So I hope that the next time we record, it's just going to be all good and this is going to be all positive and we're going to have solved all of these Warriors problems.
Heck yeah.
All right. What is before we get out of here, what's the latest on the BAM?
Pod coming out today. We did the most intriguing blow it up teams. So yeah, the whole Raptors trade thing was in there too. Got verified on Twitter. Don't know how that happened.
No, I think we know how that happened.
All right, let's kick us out of here. Let's go.
Wait. Your guy Elon though. You're okay with how this verification works?
No, but I might as well like abuse it while it's there, right?
Well, I'm watching you. If you get anything out of having this blue check mark, I'm all for doing that for not only this account, but for my Fight Game Media account too.
Yeah, it
If
might be
there's
smart for brands.
if there's any positivity to this, if you get extra followers, if you get extra likes, if people see your stuff more, it could be worth it. But I'm using you as the
I'm the guinea pig.
You're the guinea pig, the example here for me before I give Elon any of my money. All right.
Before we kick us out, what's his name? Greg Johnson, the
Oh, the
CEO and
Giants,
chairman.
the Giants,
Yeah,
the son of the owner, you mean? The guy who's kind of like
yeah. He's like the chairman or something, like the president or
yes,
something like
but
that.
the owner is his dad.
Yeah,
Like the majority owner is his dad. Yeah.
yeah. F the Johnsons, F Larry Bear, whatever you don't pronounce his name.
Poor Larry Bear. Larry Bear's taking shots, even though he's like, "What
should
did
be.
I do? I'm just the spokesperson." No Zadie though, huh? No blame for Zadie.
I'm still in the mindset that he might not have been like as kept out of the blue as us, but I really feel like it was cold feet from ownership.
Interesting. All right.
Like imagine going to an auction and you're bidding on something, and then it's like, okay, $80. Someone bids you to $80, and then you're like, screw it, 120, and you win it, and then you're like, maybe I overpaid there. Maybe I don't want to penny up and give them that money. I feel like that's what happened.
Oh man, if that I mean, talk about scared money. Yeah, what a frustrating day these last couple days of being a Giants fan.
I've been so sad, and then I've been mad. So many emotions.
All right. Yeah, because you went to more games than I did last year. All right. So we'll be back, like I said. And then, we are going to look forward to going to the game on the 4th. We get to see Detroit with, sadly, no Cade, though. All right. So we'll see everybody next week when we are back. For Brian, I'm Double G. See when we see you. Peace out.